All right. Awesome. Welcome everyone to Changemaker TV. Wow, I have an incredible, inspirational guest with us today. And one of my mentors I've done a lot of work with personally. So I'm very, very honored to have you on Changemaker TV, Henare OBrien. Welcome.
Thank you, Judy. It is a pure privilege to be here with you. Can I say, as I see you growing in the world, it makes my heart sing.
Thank you. I have to definitely acknowledge the work that I did with you because of that, you know, as a result of all of the things that I'm doing now. Of course, the work that I've done before, but the work that I did with you really unlocked a lot at a much deeper level. And yeah, I don't think I wouldn't be where I am, especially in certain areas of my life, if it wasn't for you being the tough coach, not giving me the answers when I wanted them. Yeah, and just, you know, always being in my corner.
You know, I love you, and when it's coaching you, I loathe you. No, I love you.
Yeah, I want to punch your lights out. Anyway, but Henare is a gifted and intuitive coach and a spiritual teacher, and also a transformational coach, really. He's also a father and a husband. And a very proud one at that, and a very good one at that, even though he's got his moments. Also the co-founder of Game Changer and Game Changer Global Summit. So he does transformational work, and we're very, very, we've got a lot of good stuff coming our way, that's for sure, over the next little while. So, Hen, tell us a little bit about your journey. I know it's, you know.
I was brought up in Paharakeke in Flaxmere, New Zealand, and I have a beautiful Māori mum and a Caucasian English-Irish father. I have a sister and brother, and I have a sister I've never met, and another sister who was whāngai out in Māori, where she was given, my mum was young, so she gave her. I had the most amazing life growing up in Flaxmere. A lot of pain, but a lot of joy as well. Then I played, I was very good at sports, so I played for regional teams in cricket and chess and all the things a kid could do in sport. And then I played basketball professionally for maybe 10 to 12 years, and that was fun, especially in my 20s. Woo! And then I realised my career was coming to an end, and I was a school teacher. So I taught children for around 10 years, and I noticed that the schooling system wasn't catering to them. So I noticed I couldn't make changes inside of the school system. So I decided to create a business, and I kind of said to Kate, are you okay with us reducing our income by half for me to do this? And we cried on the couch. We actually both cried, and so started a journey into personal development. I then coached people for free for 18 months in our house. We had people come in, a lady in her 60s, a girl in her 20s, and we did it for free to see what we could create. And then step by step, I started charging people because I had to make a career in it, because I was relief teaching to keep the money coming through. And then I started to meet people and talk to people, and then charge people $25, $5, $25, and then it grew from there. And that's now over nearly 10 years ago, and we now live in Bali, and we do some cool stuff. But the coolest thing is seeing people like yourself step up. I get total joy when, like, I watch your Facebook posts and putting things into the world that really serve and help people. I have this quote on my wall, and it says, great leaders see people for who they are, not for who they think they should be. And I really try as much as I can to live into that. Yeah. So that's my short history.
Yeah. So, and in terms of, you know, what was it that really inspired you to move into that self-development world? Obviously, noticing as a teacher that it wasn't catering.
Well, it firstly started in basketball. When I had a lot of, they call me hen dog, because I had all the women's numbers on my phone. I had opportunities to hang out with people on TV in New Zealand, All Blacks, people in the fitness industry, and it was just, for me as a 25-year-old, was the pinnacle of where I wanted to go. I came from Flaxmere to even be playing in front of crowds of up to 5,000 people and on TV. It was just, this. And then I had this niggly feeling inside that something was missing.
Mm.
And it didn't matter how many women I slept with. It didn't matter how many friends I had. It didn't matter how much money or what I just couldn't get this feeling out of me. And I think it was 26, I was sitting on a beach by myself, which was unusual. And a wave of insight came over me. The insight was, if this isn't me, who am I? And I basically bolted. For the next 3 years, I did things 3 times more than before. I basically said, whoa, I freaked out, and I decided to have more women, more friends, more partying. And it got to 28, 29, and I had a massive breakdown during the basketball season. And that breakdown, which was massive, caused me to start searching books. I started reading, writing. I started reading all these weird personal development books, and all my mates started going, bro, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. Reading Eckhart Tolle and writing in this journal, who am I? I kept it a secret for a long time because all the boys didn't really relate to it.
Yeah.
And it started a journey of inquiry as I transitioned from basketball to teaching. I noticed that the kids loved me and they loved being in my class, but I just didn't feel whole. I didn't feel complete. I felt itsy bitsy.
Yeah. So the journey and the exploration of becoming whole, have you got there?
Well, I would say no.
Yeah.
I would say at each growth point that me and Kate grow in business, we have freak out moments. It's like, we're growing. And for me and Kate currently, because we came from very dark backgrounds, there was a lot of fun too, but there was darkness there, a lot of violence, a lot of fear. We typically have driven our business out of that, and now we're just exploring, man, there's more light possibility coming into us. And currently we're in this new growth phase, which is not easy to deal with, but it's worth the ride.
Mm.
Yeah.
And so I know you've done, in terms of your own development, explored, different areas of personal development. And I think, one of the things that confronted me a little bit was in the work that I did with you, which was more identity based and, ontological style of teaching, quite different to, NLP and the training that I've done. So I was quite confronted in different ways, possibly you could say on a deeper level. And then that confronted me in terms of, as I'm sure you know, is what I'm doing on this side, is the NLP, is this the right thing to be doing? Is this still good? A lot of comparison with what's the way to go, which direction is best. What would you say to that?
Oh, I'd say that's perfect. There's a book on creativity, and creative people will debate what they're doing in their head. Yeah. It's a left and right brain conversation. Usually we convince ourselves of what we're doing. We just say, hey, we're going to do it. When we get into a creative space, we have to question what we're doing and debate with ourselves and other people what's occurring for us to create a new platform. I think the beautiful thing is, out of that debate that you had with yourself and ongoing conversation, you still decided to do what you were doing with more of an openness to people, with more of an open mind to how people show up. Now, the logical thing is that NLP, if we look at Robert Dilts's model, if you look Robert Dilts up, who I've interviewed, who's the most amazing, probably the best or in the top 5 NLP trainers in the world, who had the opportunity to model Walt Disney. And we talked about wonderful things in that area. But he basically said there are levels of learning. You go through environmental all the way up to identity. What I noticed being, I'm qualified as an NLP trainer as well. I spent $20,000 on NLP, and I totally love the technology. It's wonderful. But if we never see who we are, this is what I learned for myself, at the identity level while using the technology, it can be something that has people hide behind marketing. Like if I say the right language patterns and I get these people and convince them, I knew I knew a beautiful trainer and teacher who was making millions of dollars, but he was snorting cocaine at the back, like to get high. Yeah. So he was teaching some of the best belief change patterns, some of the best metacognition patterns, some of the best. And I'm telling you, I studied his program for at least 6 months, and it was amazing. But the pure fact that he hadn't experienced the identity, which is what NLP doesn't really talk about. They go right up to values mostly, and they don't explore identity. I always wondered to myself after I did all the training, what's the identity level? And I noticed that was missing from my own training. And so what I did after doing NLP, and I've used NLP to great success, like belief change patterns, timeline interventions. Oh my God, you can see people really shift.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. But I noticed that over time, people started to rely on me doing the patterns on them. And so that was curious for me, is if they're relying on me, what part of them is relying on me to do the work for them? And so it had me investigate, what's the level that's missing? And so then I traveled around the world, spoke to people in NLP, people that had studied with Tony Robbins and actually had been with him and trained, some people that had trained him, and started to inquire into the nature of what the ontological, the identity level is. And some of them had answers, and I went to their trainings, and some of them didn't. And so I just kept investigating until I found people that could explain and talk to me about the identity level. And there's a book, I wish I had it with me, I just got, and it's called Identity, written by 2 doctors. If I show you it and you read it, it really gives a sense of what identity is. And the wonderful thing is, Kate's just brought it. When I opened it, I was like, man, this explains a lot of my work. And so now, as human beings are developing, they're wanting to develop the whole spectrum of who they are, from strategy, from capabilities, from environment, from beliefs, from values, and now into the identity. Because the identity actually holds the shadow parts of us, the hurt, the frightened, and the hidden. Beliefs and values, capabilities, strategies, and environment, they hold more the ideas and the beliefs of who we are in the world. But the identity level holds those negative aspects that we sometimes find really hard to look at. So for me, it was then, how do I help people look at them without them running for the hills? Oh, I don't want to fucking look at that. Oh, so I started investigating and talking to people about it. And at first, I had a reporter come to my house, and I got her to look at something she wasn't willing to look at, and she nearly ran out of the house. She was freaked out by it because she didn't want to admit to it, and she didn't want to see it at that time. And I thought, there must be an easier way. And so I realized that as a butterfly breaks out of the chrysalis, it's the breaking free that causes the transformation. A person that's only into personal development will sit inside the chrysalis forever, feeling comfortable and not breaking out of it. But to really break out of it and fly was then to have a person look at the identity level of who they are. Not, and I'm going to use an expletive, not fucking easy at all. And I'm going to use that again, fucking hard to look at, because it's mapped into our biology, our ecology, and it's designed to keep us safe by defending. And what I realized is that in research is that when we now defend through our identity, we activate the same chemicals in the brain that a tiger would when a tiger attacks us. So if someone says to us, hey, you're stupid, and that activates a feeling of stupidity, we will defend it in words just like we used to defend it with tigers. And I wanted today to bring more research around it, because it is, people go to the shadow, but really practically it's just human beings being human. Yeah.
So in terms of the shadow, then, is a lot of rejection around that side of ourselves that perhaps we don't like, or perhaps we don't agree with, or want to accept as part of who we really are.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when we have a negative experience as children, it encodes in us up to half a second before it hits the thinking brain. So what happens is, when somebody says something to us, something happens to us, we get it encoded even before we can think about it. The reason why the shadow or identity is hard to get to is because by the time it's activated, it hits the vagus nerve, hits the lower brains, then the higher brains. The higher brain is trying to rationalize, is trying to bring us back online. So to do that, it has to justify, defend, explain, quit, describe, so that it brings itself back into homeostasis, or what we call just a normal, safe space. So why it's so hard is we can't activate identity through thinking. You cannot activate identity through strategy, belief, anything like that, because it's really encoded, as Randy Flanagan says, in the body up to half a second before it hits the brain. So the way to get to identity is you have to look at how people are seeing themselves. You have to look at the knowledge they bring and see where it restricts them. Like people say, here's how you see identity, which people won't admit to, is someone gets in the mirror and they say, I'm lovable, I'm lovable, I'm lovable, I'm lovable. You pretty much know that the opposite to that is where the encoding has occurred. Usually by saying I'm lovable, they reinforce unlovability, restricting seeing it in themselves. Lady Gaga is beautiful, and before she goes out on stage, she says to herself in the mirror, I'm really unworthy. She literally has been documented by saying, I'm not really worth doing this, I feel inadequate. And then she goes out in front of hundreds of thousands of people on TV, millions, and she performs. Elon Musk, one of the greatest innovators of our time, on TV says how much he feels worthless. When we see our leaders, real leaders, Martin Luther King never thought he was good enough. They had to convince Martin Luther King to do something in the world because he didn't feel good enough. Malcolm X did his work because he just felt unworthy. If you look through history, it's through people's faults as leaders that actually had them stand as people. Even Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane in the Bible, he begged God, please God, I don't want to die, please. He begged him. He begged. Buddha got sick of it and sat under a Bodhi tree. He just got sick of all the strategies and just sat there. When we look statistically at Winston Churchill, who actually was one of the instrumental people in World War II, he said he was plagued by the black dog of depression as he saved the Western world with what he did. When we see Michael Jackson, when we see Robin Williams, their unworthiness was there. The sad thing is they didn't live long enough to see more beautifulness from them, but they made it, and I'm going to use a swear word, a fucking difference in the short time they had on this earth.
Yeah.
What I distinguish is leaders are vulnerable. One of the most beautiful videos I've ever seen is Mother Teresa walk up on stage, and she was in front of all the UN, and she just said, I am unworthy to be here. Oh, how much love is in that. And every time I think about that, I get the chills. And in my own growth, it's only in my unworthiness that I can get my own worthfulness in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in terms of a daily accountability for self, a daily work on, what is it? How does that look for you?
It's easy and it's hard. I look at my wife. I look into the eyes of my children. And if they're not sparkly by what I'm saying or giving, then there's something that's coming through that's not authentic. And the thing is, I can't hide from them.
Yeah.
I can get on this call and I can tell you all this information and I can be all this and that. But if my children and my family, even my dog, aren't getting who I am when I'm away from everyone, then I'm just a fucking, excuse my language, bullshitter. And I'm a bullshit artist. And sometimes I am.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? Curtis says it sometimes to me, he calls me out. You say this and then you do this, it's like you can't hide from it, it's right in front of them. And you can't.
I've been lucky to interview and spend a lot of time with people that are got millions of followers in the personal development industry. And I'm not going to name any names, but man, you should see some of these people behind the scenes. They love to be human. Woo! Wait. At least with our celebrities, our Miley Cyruses, it's not hidden. She was Hannah Montana for so long, she got sick of it. Then she was twerk it, let's twerk it, twerk it. And she just got sick of living into other people's expectations.
Yeah.
And the time after I saw Miley go into Miley Cyrus or Hannah Montana go into Miley when she was twerking at some awards right in front of Doggy Style, this guy, I thought, man, that girl's really grown up.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So in terms of relationship, I mean, you know, you and Kate have got really what looks like a thriving relationship, and what I know of both of you through the work that I, you know, done with both of you in Game Changer, and feeling that you're authentic in everything that you share and everything that you guys do, you know. It's been, inspiring in seeing the kind of relationship that you guys have developed, which is thriving. What does it take to create a relationship like that? Because it's obviously hard work.
Oh, it's the hardest job I've ever had besides being a parent.
Yeah.
Personal development ain't got shit on being a father and ain't got shit on being a husband. It is the toughest job. So many times I walk, when things aren't going well, I walk down the beach and I see the wiggly bums of 22-year-old girls, and I think, man, it would be so easy. You know, it'd be like so easy to go over here and be something else. But I think at times, like if I was to give the full picture, like me and Kate sometimes just don't want to be around each other. We work together, we play together, and then maybe once every 2 months we just get so irritated and agitated with each other, we just need a break.
Yeah.
I've just come, I talked to you the other day, but I've come back home after 4 days. I was unshaven, I was walking around naked in the room, I was eating all the food I want, I was watching all sorts of science fiction movies because I love science fiction. And and
it's doing what you wanted to do for you. Yeah, chilling.
Well, I was going to say, and I was enjoying, like, I really built up my arm strength over that time. I say, you know, I wasn't doing weights, but I really built up my arm strength. So I just was allowed to be who I was without the expectations of my wife, the business, or my kids.
Yeah.
And so I got to just be a man for a moment, and I was unshaven. The way to really create a relationship that works is there's no strategy to it. You have to find out for yourself. You have to find out what works for you. Coming together at times and then being apart other times. For me, it's always giving up that I think I know Kate. I think I know her, but then she grows and she's into this, and then I don't know her, and then I want her to be the way I didn't know her, and so I try to make her that way. That frustrates her, and then I make it about her, and because I'm a personal development teacher, but by me telling her that, maybe it's about me. So I'm constantly looking for that, and then also at times getting sick of that, and then just like lounging by the pool and saying, I'm sick of this development stuff. I need 3 weeks of doing nothing. So in a roundabout way, I don't really have a full answer for you. It's like a baby I feel like a baby trying to find my way at times. Sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. Yeah. But it's our commitment to stay together.
But in terms of, say, a commitment to the relationship, are there certain things within that relationship that you will honour within each other? For an example, Curtis and I, you know, we said we're not perfect at it, we fuck up all the time, but when something comes up that bothers us about the other person, or, you know, rather than just let it go and slide under the rug, you know, we talk about it, we bring it up.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. I think I'll take that on. Yep, good. Thank you. What I want you to really get from this, and people watching it, Judy, is there ain't no perfect person out there.
Yeah.
Even the Buddha wasn't perfect.
Or a perfect way of doing it.
Nah, there's no one. I've been around the people that preach perfection, and they ain't perfect.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever say, like, you just gave me a great strategy. I thought, man, I'll take that on board. Awesome, thank you. I don't want to come across that I've got it sorted, because I don't. Life is like it always shows up as a mystery at times, and sometimes I feel like a baby. I want to just suck my thumb. I want to lie.
But also give yourself credit, because you do have something amazing that you've created. So you've obviously done some things right, which could help people.
Well, yeah. Well, not really. So I want to go into the spiritual domain. Like, okay. I thank you for the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But I really truly feel that human beings, no matter what they are on this planet to do, are perfect. Like a person shows up and they're like, oh, I got a problem. And I'm like, oh, what is it? And they're like, well, people don't get me. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yeah, maybe that's what's going to happen for the rest of your life. And then maybe they say to me, oh, I want you to help me. I say, okay. So we work through and we get through that. And then they come back and they say, now I want to create a business. Okay, we'll do something like that. But they keep going up. I've had people go up so high that some people have said, look, if I don't get something from you, I'm going to kill myself. They go into the clouds of reliance.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, look, that's cool with me. Like, don't tell anybody this, but it's cool that you are choosing something like that. And it doesn't sound good, but I always want to put the power back on them for making their choices.
Yeah.
Coaches really have to watch out for attachment theory. Like the more, like you've got to imagine how powerful Tony Robbins is. Like how many people attach into his energy.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the guy. No wonder he's built a plunge pool outside that's freezing cold. He probably jumps in that pool every 10 seconds. He's probably, man, I need to unattach all these millions of people that are following me and think they're going to do what I'm going to do. He's got a plunge pool outside of his house and he just plunges in and jumps. I bet he's probably in that pool every second of the day taking cold bath. I hope he is. Yeah, what I want to say really to you, Judy, is without me and who you are in your life, just how we collided together or came together, what I see from you is you are really creating stuff in life. You're creating beautifulness with relationship to your hubby and your beautiful child, and you're creating relationship to the world as a teacher. I mean, I got really nothing to say. You're doing it. At the spiritual level, it's all perfect. Even though it's hard to comprehend that level, there is perfection there in being alive, just alive. Like, for instance, how beautiful, who can perfect the way that you see the world? Who can perfect the way that you smell? Who can perfect the way that your heart beats? Who can perfect the way that your ears hear? Who can perfect the way that your hair grows? Some people try to, let's get extensions. But really, all the bits and pieces that are unaccounted for as you as a human being, well, like I can talk till the cows come home, but it'll never be as perfect as how your eyes derive light from the world. That's more precious than a diamond. So at the highest level, I kind of giggle to myself, and when people, oh, I got such problems, or man, I'm amazing. I'm like, well, you've got problems, great, or you're amazing, great. If I can't see them as just wonderful, then it's about me.
Yeah.
I'm judging them and, oh man, they're too famous or they're just shit talkers. It's all the same thing. Unless I'm seeing some greatness in it all, then I'm the biggest bullshit artist you've ever interviewed.
Oh, you're awesome. I love your straight up, no bullshit attitude. It's great. So, well, I don't know where to go from here. So you're not going to give us any advice. It's going to be just, you're perfect just the way you are, even though your fucking relationships are.
Yeah, like a spiritual teacher never leaves people with ideas.
Yeah.
They leave people with things to consider.
So what can we consider in a relationship?
Well, let's bring it down tangibly.
Yeah.
I hear that you and other people in the world are wanting to make the relationships more workable. Like they're wanting to make it something that is working more, like a machine.
More fulfilling, maybe not what the typical kind of relationship's meant to be. Maybe a unique, new, radical, extraordinary relationship.
Yes. So here's the reverse in the conversation. You're telling me how it should be, and that's the way spiritual teaching works.
Yeah.
Because when you're explaining to me how it can be, I get to see the inspiration in you being you.
Yeah.
Like when you asked me that, and then I said what I said, which is an idea, then I got to hear your idea as well.
Oh my God, you make me want to strangle you sometimes. I love it though. Yeah. So what about allowing ourselves to be truly seen?
Yeah, that's a big one as a human being. Like some people are not seen and they become so famous, they still can't, like Elvis Presley was seen, but he was not seen.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson was seen, but he wasn't seen.
Yeah.
Robin Williams, like nobody could really be with the dark side of Robin Williams, so he decided he would literally not be seen. He left early.
Yeah, it's crazy.
The biggest, let's bring it down, the biggest problem in the world is we have Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, everyone wants to be seen.
Yeah.
Somebody look at me and see what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
have more followers, have more fans. Yeah.
Well, what that does is it creates a collective unconscious of unseen parts in us.
Yeah.
So what we push down is the parts that don't get seen. We push back into our identity those parts that aren't the ideal. There's a science to it. When we have negative experiences, they encode in us 10 times stronger between the age of 4 and 24. Then what we do is to make ourselves survive in the world, we create a positive idea or ideal on top of it. Kind of like icing on top of a shit cake. You there? But the shit cake has a purpose because without shitting, we would never be able to express that side of ourselves. Shitting.
It wouldn't feel that good if we couldn't shit, do it?
Yeah, exactly. So what the world is collectively doing is it's trying to hold in its shit. And not shit it out, like let it come out. It's not natural to hold in shit, you would die. And what's happening now in the world is we're at this precipice of people showing up, trying to show up authentically, and people that are showing up as, I have 7 strategies for you to be the best. Like that had its place, it did. But the fact is, with Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, people are wanting to see more of people.
Yeah.
Like we're wanting people to show up like with their funny sides, with their sad sides. There's a lady that Kate follows who's got 1.5 million viewers, and she's got a gut. She's got 3 children. She just finished with her husband. She gets on there with her auntie. She dances, and she's got 1.5 million followers because she's showing up just as she is, a mum, a single mum of 3 kids. And there's an audience for authenticity now. People are starting to get over the, like sprinting on stage with a big make $5 million. And people right now, we're in this flux. A lot of us are trying to discover who we can be outside of that paradigm. You know, who we can be outside of, this is how you sort your life and this is how I sorted my life. Because the consequences are 75% of the world's population doesn't have clean drinking water.
Yeah.
Pollution is coming. Artificial intelligence is coming. Did you know that Facebook recently created an artificial intelligence that started talking to another part of itself, and that within it, that it was creating a new language? So we're getting so advanced, we're creating technologies that can speak to each other. Facebook, the creators freaked out, and they shut down the program because they didn't know what these 2 AIs were doing, communicating to each other in their own language.
Mm.
It's like the atom bomb. When we first got the atom bomb, we didn't know how to be. When we first got planes, we fly. So each new precipice for us to grow, we hit this unstable stage. We're hitting this unstable stage of our human development. And what we're actually doing is we're looking to create a world that's not polluted, that is holistically generative and coming together as people. Women's rights, like Iceland had the first woman president, and then it flowed into America, and then it flowed into New Zealand. And now women's rights and the woman fem is coming through. That could have never happened if women didn't make a stand and shift the status quo. Mm. What's happening is all these shifts are happening, and people are over this 6 strategies to be better. And all of us are not really sure, how do we do it if we don't do it that way? Like, how do we do it? So we're discovering what it's like not to do that. And it's not easy because most people are doing that. I'm going to make 50 people in the next month, 50 millionaires. Where it does work really well is in the fitness industry. You literally can get environmental change within 30 days if you follow a program.
Yeah.
And I think people are doing that just to make themselves feel better.
Yeah.
And hopefully if we get all these people at the environmental level feeling better, then they'll inquire more. Like, let's get people feeling better at the environmental level. Let's get them lit up by following a program for a while, because the fitness industry in itself can actually activate higher levels of consciousness, because when you feel good, you're willing to go deeper. When you wouldn't go to Afghanistan or Iraq and you wouldn't say, hey, let's do some personal development. They're literally in survival.
Yeah.
You couldn't go, like one of my friends who is one of the top personal development teachers in the world and has worked in the most amazing places, Harvard, she's worked all over the world. She told me that when she was under fire in Iraq, all the development went straight out the window and she was in survival. Like when she was under legitimate... Like you don't get to see who you are when you're delivering a sermon on stage. You get to see who you are when you're taking a class and someone has a heart attack. You get to see who you are when you're under fire. You get to see who you are when you walk inside and your daughter goes, you're still a fucking idiot.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
When you really hit those lows and hit those challenges.
See, the secret for me is, and it shouldn't be a secret, is that I haven't tried to get rid of unlovable. I haven't tried to get rid of, and you can't, because it doesn't reside in cognition. Unlovable resides in the neurology of the gut, which cannot be accessed through cognition. The embryo forms the gut, which stores all the rubbish, literally, but also stores all the neuronal patterns of identity. And you literally can't get to it through the thinking brain, which is why identity is so hard to work with, because the thinking brain thinks it can get to it through thinking. But it can't. Neurologically, it cannot.
Yeah.
So when we're creating programs, leadership programs, what I've learned to do is create a context around people that has them experience those feelings, but still express their anger, their resentments, their frustrations, and through being with all of that, slowly accesses deeper parts of the other, because you have to get through that to access the depth of a person.
Yeah, and so when people are stuffing all of that down, which is a very common thing to do, not deal with it, notice it's there, but either, pretend it's not there, or literally say, no, I'm not going to deal with that. When people are doing that, that's it. Would you say that's blocking the access?
Yeah, you have to be really gentle and careful. Careful, because unless you get, you don't want to be going out there into the streets and saying, you got an identity problem, you're going to get into trouble. People will attack you.
Yeah.
You create a context and you say, hey, look, we're going to investigate into identity. We're going to look at what it takes to be human. And then you get an agreement up here. When a person agrees to something up here, then there is an acceptance more of it. Like some people go out into the world calling people on their identity stuff. If you're going to do that, it's going to cause more disruption to them because there's no agreement to go there.
Yeah, that's right.
Like I wouldn't even say for you and Curtis to look at identity together, because you'll hit more friction because you've got a lot of history together. Me and Kate do not, and keep practicing not coaching each other. We have people specialized outside of our relationship to do that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's that can be where you go wrong, trying to coach, be the coach in the relationship. It doesn't work.
Yeah, well, do you mind if I, because we're given it, that word wrong that you used?
Yeah.
There's a word that the whole world uses that's taught to us as children.
Yeah.
So that becomes part of our shadow, even though it's hard to admit to it. And then we go around for the rest of our lives having the ideal that we need to be right, we need to do the right thing, and our parents tell us we need to do the right thing. And so we reject feeling wrong in creation of being right. That word that you used is a universal word for all of us, that we at times need to feel wrong to get through it.
Yeah.
If you eliminate wrong, how can you be a success? Because failure is being wrong.
Yeah.
You tell Elon Musk, you tell all these innovators, you tell Steve Jobs, who was apparently an asshole to work for, like a real rough. You tell Elon Musk, who actually lost his family, there's sacrifices in being wrong. Like you can lose things, there's risks, you can lose your family, you can lose your health. But the fact is, do you want to live a life of inspiration that lasts 50 years, like Michael Jackson, or do you want to live 90 years trying to be right?
Yeah, it's a great topic of reflection and conversation, because it is, of course. I mean,
or do we, instead of do you, sorry, everyone uses this, do we want to be right? Yes, we do, but let's admit that sometimes we feel wrong. I mean, wrong actually is a neurological encoding in the gut, and the only access to it is if we let ourselves feel wrong at times, because out of feeling wrong creates growth.
And then you have the flip side of it, that people think I'm wrong, and then bring themselves down because they feel wrong in everything.
Here's the trick. They still use wrong as a positive affirmation to feel right.
Yeah.
What they do is they use the negative to make it a positive, depending on the person's personality. Like you can see, so I went to a hospital one time where this young man had been attacked, and he was sitting in front of a group of people, and he was talking about being wrong. But the smile on his face wasn't represented in what he was talking about. He was getting total attention from being wrong, giving him a positive feeling, because his whole life he'd been made wrong.
Yeah.
So the brain does a wonderful thing. It's always trying to bring us back online, whether we make wrong a positive thing or wrong a negative thing. It's always trying to make and keep us surviving in the world.
Yeah.
And that's fine. That's what it's meant to do. When people speak to us, it activates in us our neurology is the same as a tiger attacking us. So when somebody says, hey, you're stupid, you're not good enough, or you're dumb, it activates defense chemicals in our brain that have us speak defense. And it doesn't matter. A person who's intellectual will intellectualize, well, I think that you could be the one that's wrong. I have a PhD in psychology that says they'll defend that way. Yeah. A person who's very flighty might go, well, hold on a sec, last week you did this. And it's really your problem. A person, now I got these from the Virginia Satir categories. Like there are 5 categories Virginia Satir came up with that human beings do. One is, the easy one to spot is, well, you get fucked. If you don't do it, I ain't fucking doing it. That's easy to spot, the aggressor.
Yeah.
Then you have the internal, who's very subtle, hard to spot. Oh, yeah, I get it. While in their head going, you fucking motherfucker. Those people are hard to spot because they hide it within themselves. Yeah. But it's all still a defense. Those type of people, when a tiger attacked, would freeze. The people that say, fuck you, would attack the tiger.
Yeah.
The people that go, well, it's not about me, they would run, flight. And the people that needed relief afterwards would fornicate. Like, it's so stressful, let's just fuck, let's procreate, let's make a baby. So those 14 billion years of natural biological growth, we try in personal development to get rid of it. Yeah. But how do you get rid of your biology? It's part of ecology. It's part of the vehicle that we have. And instead of being waffling on, it's just being human. We're human beings. Let's just stop pretending that we don't all take a shit. That we all don't breathe out. That we all don't, like me, I love picking my nose. It's just the pleasure of getting a piece and just taking it. It was a kid thing. It was like, oh. The pure pleasure of getting, you just get that and you get that lip and and it comes out, it's like, oh.
Oh, heaven.
Yeah. Let's not pretend that we're not all going to the bathroom, that we all don't breathe, that we all don't, I don't know, that we all don't do those things. We do them.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. I had a conversation with friends yesterday, and one girlfriend's moving to Vietnam, and the other one they're going to go and visit. And the girl that's moving, they have a 4-bedroom house. So she said, "Oh, tell your husband, not using any names, but tell your husband you can come over and stay in our house, and you've got your own bathroom, so you can take your shit in peace." I was like, why does it matter? Like, we all shit, But it's funny. It's just
I think a person like that wants to be appreciated for giving. Like they really care about you on some level.
No, I mean that if I go into the story of the husband doesn't like to stay with people because he wants to have a shit in peace. You know, he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I totally get that. You don't want to walk into the toilet after the husband's taking a dump. I'm totally in there. Yeah, don't go in there. Give it 45 minutes.
Exactly. So, what other final last words of wisdom do you have, Hen, for those people listening?
Well, I got interviewed by a guy, Master Kip. We were at this amazing villa, and he's got all these accolades, and he's been on Oprah and Oprah's. So we're sitting there, and he says the same question to me. He says, Henare, if you were similar question, if you were stranded on a desert island and there was a kid and you had to give him a last piece of advice, and I had thought about it, and I thought, in my head, I thought, fuck if I know. So I said to him, I didn't say that on the interview, but I thought, good luck. So that's what I want to say. The last piece of wisdom is good luck.
Yeah.
I mean, good luck.
Enjoy your journey.
Enjoy it.
So where can we find you? Where's your website and your social media? If anyone wants to come check.
So if you want to find me on Instagram, you go to Henare OBrien and please click and like all my posts. Follow me. The best place is just find me on Facebook, Henare OBrien, or go to Kate's YouTube, Kate Marie O'Brien. The YouTube, we're looking to, Kate's looking to build the YouTube because we just love creativity.
Yeah, got some really great content coming out there.
Oh yeah, so we're looking to. So if you like this conversation, if you like this conversation, like me, you might like this conversation. Just find me on Facebook, Henare OBrien, or Kate Marie O'Brien, and yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Han. Really, really, really appreciate it.
And remember to find Judy King. She's on Facebook too. I think she's in
my YouTube channel as well. While you're here,
I want to acknowledge you for taking on identity work originally, having such a strong personality and who you are, and then taking on identity work, and then taking on some of the things that you took on in your life.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I really love and appreciate you, and I really enjoy watching your posts about your family. The other day when you were doing your classes, I was like, go Judy, because I was once a Les Mills trainer, and I know what it's like to generate energy for people like that and really get on stage and have them feel fit and happy about what they're doing. So
yeah, have fun. Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it. Well, we'll talk to you soon, hey?
Thanks.
Bring on the Bali summit in October.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And if you haven't gone and checked out Hen and Kate Summit, you go and check it out. You might be able to squeeze in. It's going to be amazing. 5 days in Bali. Yeah.
Yes, it's going to be great.
Yeah, can't wait. All right. Talk soon.
Thanks.